What's up guys, it's Tommy here and welcome to a brand new football news video. And the other 19 Premier League clubs are angry and they demand an emergency meeting on the Newcastle Takeover deal. This is what the Guardian reports, so I will give you guys the detailed report, and also we will take a look at how much money Newcastle could spend in the January transfer market. And the Telegraph is reporting that Newcastle's new owners began plotting and planning a spending spree of up to £190 million of a transfer spend in the January transfer window, which would be absolutely mind-blowing, but this is pocket change for them. Remember that. The club's new chairman, who told fans in an open letter that they can expect ambition in the January transfer market. So they are already linked with lots of players whose contracts are running out. Kylian Mbappe, Paul Pogba, Franck Kessié, and also they are linked with Mauricio Icardi of Paris Saint-Germain, and that is going to be crazy. And ironically, because Mike Ashley spent so little money and Newcastle operated with losses in the past 2 seasons, they could actually spend around £100 million and still stay within financial fair play rules, and that is absolutely crazy. And it's so ironic that because of Mike Ashley's bad management, or poor management rather, Newcastle are able to spend quite significant amounts of money. So from a footballing side of point of view, the Premier League will be more competitive and it will be more exciting. And if we just focus on the footballing side, and that's what I will try to do in this video, then Newcastle fans can be very excited. And I like Newcastle. I think they are a bigger club than Manchester City, so I think that Newcastle fans can be very excited for the future. And it's not their fault that Saudi Arabia is taking over Newcastle United. I already said what I wanted in yesterday's video, so now let's turn the page and let's talk about this report, because clubs are concerned that the Premier League's brand could be damaged, and angry clubs have targeted the Premier League with complaints about the Newcastle takeover, and they are pushing for an emergency meeting next week. So what do you think about this? Do you think they are hypocrites? Do you think they have a valid argument? Let me know your opinion in the comments below. The demand for the emergency meeting is not so much an attempt to derail the takeover, because it's too late for that. The takeover is already gone through. Rather a reflection of how high feelings and emotions are running among the Premier League clubs. I think most of the clubs are really worried that Newcastle will overtake them. I don't think Man City are worried, but basically everybody besides Man City can be worried a little bit at least. Clubs have expressed concern that the Premier League's brand could be damaged by this Saudi Arabia public investment funds taking an 80% stake in Newcastle, although eyebrows will be raised at this given the identity of other owners in the division. The deal has been fiercely criticized by human rights groups, especially as the Saudi Arabia State's Sovereign Wealth Fund is overseen by the Crown Prince himself, who is basically the president of Saudi Arabia. And of course other clubs' chairmen and owners are worried, and they are upset because Newcastle is a new kid on the block. He's a new rich kid who will upset the odds and who will make the Premier League more competitive, and of course Newcastle more competitive, and it will inflate transfer fees and wages once again probably. The Premier League's chief executive Richard Masters and the chairman Gary Hoffman have received complaints from all clubs apart from Newcastle, because most of the clubs had no idea that the Newcastle takeover was about to be approved. But that's the thing, the Premier League don't need permission from the other clubs. The Premier League is its own entity and they can approve the takeover without consulting anybody else really. But what is, I think, very interesting is that this subject, the Newcastle takeover, was not even on the agenda at the most recent Premier League shareholders meeting 2 weeks ago. The league effectively blocked the deal last year, and it was said last week at a competition appeals tribunal involving Mike Ashley and the league that arbitration proceedings to decide the matter were scheduled to begin on January the 3rd. So everybody thought that this is down the line, it's not happening right now. And the Premier League clubs are pretty upset because they basically learned from the media on Wednesday of the impending takeover. And of course the Premier League will point out that they have to be confidential, and because of legality that prevented them sharing the news of Newcastle's imminent takeover. And one of the major reasons why this takeover happened was that Saudi Arabia has lifted its ban on the Qatari company beIN Sports in Saudi Arabia, and promised to close all private websites showing Premier League football in the country through beIN Sports. Crucially, it also convinced the Premier League that the state would not be involved in the day-to-day running of Newcastle. But still, it still will be involved because the owner of this wealth fund is the president of Saudi Arabia. So how can it be not involved? Yes, maybe day-to-day decisions won't be made by him, but still the major decisions will be made by Saudi Arabia's state. So it's a joke, I think. But the Newcastle takeover has drawn reaction from political arena as well. I don't really want to go into that, but you can read the rest in the Guardian newspaper. But the shadow sports minister Alison McGovern said this is ultimately a failure in the way that football is governed. Labour has called for a tough independent regulator for many years, and the action we hope will come from the publication of the Crouch Review cannot come soon enough. But I don't really like politicians, no matter which party they represent. I think that's my opinion, and let's focus on the football, because this report in the Telegraph is absolutely incredible. The Premier League club can only make losses of 155 million over 3 seasons, and Newcastle made a profit of 35 million pounds in the 2018-19 season, and then the last 2 seasons they made a loss of 22 million, probably around 40 to 50 million last season, but those accounts are not published yet. And this year's accounts, of course, are not published yet either. So the 3-year loss between 2018 and 2021 is 28 million, which means that they can spend around 80 to 100 million pounds in the January transfer market. And that is absolutely crazy, and I think if they sign the right kind of players, they can stay up easily, and next season they can try get European football. But I think the most important thing for Newcastle is to get a great sports director, a chief executive who can oversee the transformation of the club and the football operations. So transfer committee, the facilities, they need to upgrade the training ground, they need to upgrade the surrounding area of the stadium. So if you look at the Premier League current rules, Newcastle can't really do what Manchester City did, signing a bunch of players for 40-50 million pounds every single season until they start getting into the top 4. Because the Premier League spending rules came in the summer of 2023, and Man City already won their league title, their first league title in the Premier League by then. Newcastle, we have to carefully increase the club's revenues first to spend, and that is going to be hard because they are not in European competition. They have to attract better sponsors, and the other Premier League clubs are not happy that they are in the league. Expect them to go through every inflated sponsorship and naming rights deal carefully in an attempt to stop them. But the owners can spend almost unlimited money on developing the facilities, so they can build a greater youth academy, greater training facilities, expand the stadium, expand and improve the surrounding areas around the stadium. So they still can invest a lot of money, they're just not only in players, basically. And also the Daily Mail is already reporting that ex-Roman Shakhtar Donetsk manager Paulo Fonseca is in the frame to replace Steve Bruce. Steve Bruce is already resigned to the fate that he will get sacked. He already said that he is prepared to sit down and talk with the new owners when the time is right, because he knows that the new owners will want their own manager in place, and Steve Bruce frankly was never good enough for Newcastle. I think he's a major downgrade on Rafa Benitez, and of course Mike Ashley had no ambition, so he he didn't really bother to sign a manager who is capable of taking Newcastle to higher in the Premier League. The Paulo Fonseca is on the shortlist to become the next Newcastle manager, and he could have even took over from Tottenham after Jose Mourinho got sacked. Before that move was blocked, I don't really know the exact reason for that, but it shows that Tottenham rated him highly, so he's probably a much better manager than Steve Bruce, even though I'm not too familiar with how good he is. And Football Insider is already reporting, and other newspapers, that Mauro Icardi is on the transfer list for Newcastle, and Kalidou Koulibaly has been identified as Newcastle's #1 priority for the next summer transfer window. I think they need to sign some experienced players who have maybe Champions League experience and who have top club experience, so they can spread the winning culture around the football club. And I think the 30-year-old, who would cost around £50 million still, would be a terrific signing, because Koulibaly is a brilliant centre-back and he can still play for another 3 or 4 years, and he has vast experience in the Champions League and in the Serie A title races, so he knows what it takes to have a winning culture. Even though Napoli haven't won a lot of trophies, they won a lot of games and they are leading the Serie A, so it will be difficult to convince Napoli to part ways with Koulibaly. But there is that amount of money, and Newcastle owners have that amount of money. So let me know what you think about all this, and I will wrap this video up here. I will post more videos later today. New Liverpool Carry Mode episode is dropping later today, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, have a nice day, see you later guys, goodbye.